Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Green Room Podcast. I'm Matthew Brune, and joining me once again is Colin Mitchell. Colin, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling great.
You feeling
North
great?
Texas won what was the craziest basketball game I've ever watched. I think. Like if I had to put it, like I thought Oklahoma State was crazy. I thought Purdue was crazy. I thought Western a couple of years ago was
Western
crazy.
Kentucky is the craziest game I've ever watched.
I disagree. Okay, if we're talking about the time and what happened, like the shortness in time that North Texas came back against Western was crazy. But Wisconsin getting dominated for like 15 minutes, I think is crazier.
Maybe shocking.
Shocking. Maybe that's the word.
They,
Maybe that's the word.
North Texas beats Wisconsin 56-54 in the NIT semifinals.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's so much. There's so much to talk about here. Um, They advanced to the championship game where they will play UAB, who beat Utah Valley in overtime. A good win from UAB. Ty Brewer drops 30 points. He's playing great. We already know about Jordan Walker. So that game is in the future. We'll worry about that later. But we got to spend a lot of time on this game in particular because coming off the Oklahoma State game, we were like, this team has done it. They've
Yeah.
given us the moment. They have completed what we've wanted them to do this year. They have solidified themselves as one of the best North Texas teams ever, and they have cemented themselves, in stone,
Yeah.
for nothing else. The Graham McCasland news about him going to Texas Tech was always lingering, was always there, but it never seemed to bother the team. It was very professional. This team is very tight, and it seemed and seems to have had no effect on them, despite it being basically a foregone conclusion that Graham McClassen will go to Texas Tech. But none of that matters right now. All that matters is that North Texas just beat Wisconsin and advanced to the championship game, and in doing so, held Wisconsin to 9 points. Or I'm sorry, to 0 points in the last 9 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
13 points in the second half. It was gutsy is too simple.
Yeah.
Like it's too simplistic. I don't know if I have a word to describe how
Heroic.
amazing it was. How amazing it was that they won that game. Heroic is a pretty damn good one, but it's just special. It's just
Yeah.
special.
Yeah, because coming into the game, Wisconsin was 15-1 when they led at half.
Yeah.
Now they're 15-2, and I think everybody after the way that game started, kind of seeing how Sissoko early was kind of getting pushed around by Crowell,
Mm-hmm.
and how they were out rebounding North Texas and looking like the tougher team. That's something North Texas is always used to being better at. It almost seemed like they were going to get blown out, and then toward the end of the first half, came back. You had that foul call against Tyler on that three, and it kind of took a little bit of the air out of the sails. But then the second half comes around, and you start to see that physicality come back. You start to see them do what they do best, and then all of a sudden, Wisconsin's staring down at a deficit for the first time the whole game with 2 minutes left.
Yeah. What have we said all year? This team doesn't go on runs the way that normal teams go on runs. I've said this verbatim several times, but for those of you who haven't listened all year, this is what I've said. They don't go on runs how normal teams go on run. Normal teams will hit threes. Normal teams will get steal and scores. Normal teams will, get some easy baskets and maybe turn you over or something like that. North Texas doesn't do that. North Texas literally just strangles the life out of you and holds you to 0 points for stretches at a time. And that's how they come back. That's how they've done it time after time this year. And when they've lost, it's because they haven't been able to do that. They haven't been able to hold teams for stretches at a time. But it's very, very rare. It's very, very rare. And that's what they did, man. We watched the first half. The first half, Wisconsin scores 41 points.
Mm-hmm.
We're texting the group message. Are they about to score 100 on North Texas? Like, what's happening here to where Chucky Hepburn is going crazy? Tyler Wall, all these guys, Stephen Crowell, like you said, at 5, all these guys hitting shots, hitting threes, and North Texas looked helpless, absolutely helpless. I think Fran Fraschilla did a great job on the call. I mean, he's probably the best color analyst out there. I mean, when they switched Kai onto Chucky Hepburn,
Yep.
it completely just changed the game.
Yep.
And I think that was a great adjustment. Graham McCastin talked about other adjustments in their post game with the speed of which Wisconsin was playing, but there's just no expectation when you're down by as much as they were down at halftime. Even working its way into the second half, they couldn't come back, and we kept waiting for it, and they couldn't do it. Little did we know it was just going to be the defense that just stopped them, suffocated them.
Yeah, because we've said over and over again, an 11-point deficit for North Texas is like a 22-point deficit. They're not going to be able to overcome that on scoring alone. And like you said, the way they go on runs is they just make the other team just not score, and they just score the same amount. And that's what happened. I think the biggest thing, too, is how they were able to weather the storm with a Wisconsin team who this year hasn't been that great of a shooting team at all.
Yeah.
And they were able to weather that storm and get through it because Chucky Hepburn was 5 of 5, I think, to start from 3. And then I believe you had McGee hit a 3. No, he didn't. It was Isaac Lindsay hit a 3.
Yeah.
And it's like,
or Easton, whatever it is.
Yeah. And it's like, what is happening? These guys are just going ballistic. What are you going to do? And they were able to stay in it and never give up. And I think that's the biggest thing, right? With this team, especially, and I even think it's over the 2021 2020 team, is that this team just never gives up at all. There's no wavering at any point. And I think that's probably the most impressive thing I've ever seen from any team under Grant.
I mean, I thought Kai was really good. He didn't hit a 3, but he was really good. Otherwise, defensively, especially, he had 5 assists.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler had 16 points, 3 of 9 from 3. Ruben, late in the game, I thought was fantastic. He had that spin where he got to a spot.
He also had 2 threes.
Also had 2 threes. Aaron Scott is just a monster on the boards, as we know, and just 2 blocks. I mean, Aaron Scott had both blocks. North Texas had 2 as a team. They were both from Aaron Scott.
Yep.
In this team. Mulai Sissoko, we've talked about him the past 2 podcasts. I texted you early in the game. I said, this is where they miss Abu. Because it felt like Sissoko was getting pushed around. And he was. Like, make no doubts about it. Wisconsin was winning on the glass. Wisconsin was winning in the post. I said, all right, you need Abu here to at least give you a secondary punch, because when Sissoko wasn't in the game, they went to Martinez at the 5, and that's just not quite big enough. And Martinez went 1 of 6 from 3. Like, we were waiting on Martinez to hit another 3, and it never happened. And you're like, okay, if Martinez isn't hitting 3s, what are we doing here? You know, it's not going to work. And then you have the whole Tyree Edey situation where we're pretty sure his hand is still hurt to the point where they don't want to play him a lot. So you're turned to Matthew Stone. And he played 13 minutes. I thought he was fine. I mean, he hit a 3, which is all I ask for.
Made up for him getting destroyed by Tyler Wall for a little bit. So
yeah, he got taken a couple times, but still, like, if you just run down the roster here, Noah Boo, Tyree Edey is hurt, and they're still gutting out wins like this because of, in large part, their backcourt, man.
Yeah.
The 3 guards combined for, what is this, 40 points? 40 out of the 56 points? And then Sissoko has 7 of his own on 3 of 4 shooting, including a huge basket late.
Yep.
Dude, it feels like to me, Sissoko doesn't get nervous in spots because he just doesn't know any better. If that makes sense. Yeah, there are athletes like that in any sport where it's just like they just go out there and they're just like playing, and it doesn't matter, you know, not that it doesn't matter what happens, but they're not overthinking the game.
Right.
Sometimes with Abu, it felt like he was overthinking things. With Sissoko, he doesn't overthink it.
He doesn't think about the moment.
He's been playing since he was 16. He's been playing for like 4 years. He just goes.
Yeah.
And he's awesome. He's absolutely awesome.
And you mentioned the guards. I think, like you said, Kai this tournament, and I don't have any split stats on this, I feel like he's scoring more. He's getting the basket more. His assist numbers, I feel like, are up.
He's here, I got you right here.
Okay.
Here's the tournament. Points, 10, 11, 11, 12. Assists, 5, 4, 4, 5.
Yeah. And then how many rebounds?
8, 3, 6, 4.
So he's up on everything except for points for the season. And I feel like that's where his points are more impactful when he scores them. I feel like when he's playing this way, and those assists especially. And then Ruben, they've been like North Texas has been like in this great area, and I guess you have to do this Wisconsin of running and not running and knowing when to not to do that. Obviously, sometimes they still look a little bit lost out there because they don't do it all the time. But I think letting Ruben kind of go free a little bit like he has been, because let's be honest, a couple of those spin moves, they didn't look good at first. But it allowed him to, get in rhythm, do what he does, shoot, go 2-3 from 3, and then make another bucket late and still play incredible defense.
Yeah. Do you have anything else on this game?
I don't think so. Are we going to move on to the next game?
Yes. Yes, we are, Colin.
I'm scared.
All right, here's the question.
Yeah.
Is this a must win? Is this
in what sense is it a must win?
Texas versus UAB.
In what sense?
Oh, sorry, I turned my camera off.
Wow.
I was trying to figure out whatever. Okay.
Is it going to ruin the season if they lose? No.
No.
When you look back on the season, you're going to see wins against Wisconsin and OSU. Is it going to leave an awful taste in your mouth when you lose to UAB in 2 tournament scenarios? One being a championship, and then Grant's going to go off to Tech? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
you get it.
You need the storybook ending. You need the storybook ending here. So is it a must win for the next year? Yeah, it's a must win. Like when we're thinking about, because I promise you, next year when they're in the conference tournament and they play UAB and the AAC tournament or whatever,
yeah,
it's just going to be like, well, last year they lost in the NIT championship and the Conference USA championship, but they did beat them twice in the regular season. Those wins, those losses, you can get rid of the loss in the conference championship if you win this game.
Yes.
Not only that, you send Grant out in the sunset with a great season.
Yep. And
it leaves everyone in a great spot. The fans are going to be upset. It's just, I mean, it might be the biggest. If they win this, I think it would be the greatest season in North Texas history. 30 wins.
Yeah. No doubt.
Win an NIT, beat 2 Power 5 schools, which has been a problem. I don't want to say for Grant, but like early season. Well, I mean, like in late season, they beat Purdue is basically what I'm saying.
They beat Purdue. But like non-conference wise, remember they would
do the non-conference. It's been an issue, right? Like Arkansas a couple years ago when we thought they were going to beat another team.
Oklahoma,
St. Mary's this year.
Yeah,
like you beat 2 Power 5 schools with basketball pedigrees. Nothing can take this season away from anybody if they beat the NIT. Nothing. There's no negative at all.
No.
And I think in that sense, it is a must win.
You're right. Like ultimately, I think win or lose, it has a case. Or like even if they lose, it has a case to be the best North Texas season ever. Like it does. And if we, in however many months when we look back on it, if they lose, it's like, all right, they lost, but this is the highest they've ever been in the net in Ken Palm, just a 30-win season, like you said. All of those things are great. It would be one thing if they were playing. Who was on the other side of the bracket?
Utah Valley.
Yeah, if they were playing Utah Valley, or if they were playing Cincinnati was over there, Vanderbilt was over there. Like if they were playing one of those teams and they lost, I could be like, all right, this was a great season. UAB, this feels personal.
Okay? Oh, it is.
This is absolutely personal. And I know Andy Kennedy and Grant like each other. I don't care. For fans, Tyler Perry versus Jelly Walker, first and foremost. Jelly Walker, he won. He won the last time they played. Like Tyler Perry fought his best. Like, sure, Walker won it. Walker single-handedly beat North Texas in the conference tournament, which is all these teams play for, really.
Yep.
Now you're in the NIT, right? Both teams playing incredible basketball. Incredible basketball. UAB's only losses over the past 2 months have been North Texas, double overtime, and FAU. That's it. North Texas, not the same thing because they lost to Charlotte, but over the last 2 months it's been Charlotte lost, UAB lost. That's it. And Charlotte won the CBI. These are 2 of the top 40 teams in the country. 2 teams that have played each other 3 times already. 2 teams who have beef because of the Tyler Perry versus Jordan Walker thing. I don't care what they say. There's beef. And 2 coaches who will probably be going to high major programs in a year or 2. Like either this year or next year. I don't know about Andy Kennedy's situation. He's been linked to a lot of them. This is all of the makings. This is everything. Yeah. This is the perfect climax in the movie. This is the big fight scene. You can't lose the fight scene. You can't. And like you said, big picture. This is an amazing season. They have done everything we can ask for them. We are very, very happy with this season. We love this season. We love this team. We love this coaching staff. All this stuff. Don't lose to UAB. Don't lose to UAB. And it won't be. It's not like I won't be mad. I won't be mad to the point that it tarnishes anything. But in the short term, it will leave a sour taste in our mouths, like you said.
Yeah.
Win the game.
Win the game.
Win the game.
How confident are you that they can win the game?
That's the question. That's the question. And here's the thing. So let's actually get a little technical here. We saw in the second or in the late in the first half against UAB, and I think even in the second half, and they kind of figured out we just have to double Jelly Walker. Like we just have to throw one. We have a guy pressuring him, and then we have a second guy hedging over to him on a soft hedge. I think they're going to just do that right off the rip. Put Kai on him, and then just whoever is guarding a non-shooter or whoever's guarding the closest non-shooter, just go over there and hedge. Like, prepare to double on a drive. You can't, because it wasn't even his threes that killed them. It was his penetration that killed them.
And with that playmaking.
Yeah. And so that's going to be the real tough part here is keeping him out of the paint and keeping him away from them. But let me look at his recent form because I feel like he's been playing well, but I don't think he's been shooting it from three as well. Let me see. Yeah, his last 3 games have gone 1 of 8, 1 of 8, and 1 of 8 from 3. So either he's due or he's broke. You tell me which one. I don't know which one it is.
Yeah.
All I know is against North Texas, he went 6 of 15 from 3 and 10 of 11 from the free throw line. Can't put him on the line 11 times. He had 6 assists in that game, 1 turnover. I mean, he was in total control.
Here's what I'm concerned about. Outside of the fact that you don't have Tyree, you don't have Abu, is we saw what a guard that takes over a game does twice so far in the postseason. We saw Jelly Walker the first time, and we saw Chucky Hepburn last night.
Yeah.
If Jelly gets hot, this team I don't think is going to have the bodies to match that energy of a Jelly Walker going 4-4 from 3 and scoring 25 points. I don't think that's possible. Now, if Tyler can match that, cool. But I think that's less likely to happen than Jelly going off.
It's kind of like what we've talked about all year. It's like this team thrives on just locking teams down.
Yeah.
Well, what are you going to do when you play FAU and UAB, 2 teams that most likely are going to score 65 points?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can try your best defensively, but, like, they're just really, really good teams that are going to score 65 points. Can you match them? Can you score 66 in that game? You know, it's like the conference tournament was, the final score was what, 72-70, something like that?
Yeah, it was something high.
I don't have it in front of me. But, like, it felt like North Texas was chasing the entire game. And they were, right? They were playing from behind. UAB kept scoring and scoring and scoring, and North Texas was trying to keep pace, and they couldn't. North Texas defense obviously has to be good. I'm not saying that they're just, should give up. But, like, at the end of the day, North Texas is going to have to score the ball.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see if they can do it. I mean, I think we're all scared right now, right? We're all around the fireplace telling scary stories of Jordan Walker and what he did last time.
Yeah.
But these are 2 teams just playing really, really good basketball, and I can't wait to watch it. I'm scared. I'm
scared too.
I'm very excited for this game.
I will say, though, with Reuben Jones having more of a role in the offense, I think that's going to be huge for this game because UAB hasn't seen that.
Also, you get Sissoko in there instead of Abu.
Very true, but we have to remember Abu, I don't think only played 12 minutes against, or was that a NIT game that happened in? That might have been an NIT game that happened.
That might have been Alcorn. Was that Alcorn?
That was Alcorn. Yeah, you're right. It was Alcorn. So yeah, I mean, like you said, we haven't seen that, but then again, we also throw Jaden Martinez at the 5 and UAB.
Oh no, you're right. Well, you're kind of right. Abu played 19 minutes. Sissoko played 21 minutes in their meeting last time.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I mean, Abu fouled out.
Yeah. Yeah. So. Gotcha. At the end of the day, you need to do everything you've done up to this point and make sure that you're there to score and be efficient, because you can't start. I don't think you can start the way you started against Wisconsin last night. Against
Or
UAB.
against UAB last time.
Well, that's what I mean. Well, UAB last time. Well, it's because UAB knows North Texas. Wisconsin didn't know that they were not going to score for 9 minutes. Like, Wisconsin doesn't go in with that mentality. UAB knows North Texas. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, I'm excited for this game a lot. Because whoever wins this game, you're also in that history of North Texas possibly getting the Triple Crown.
Conference USA?
Sorry, Conference USA is what I meant.
Well, the Conference USA might get it anyways, regardless of the winner here.
But I know Conference USA might get it, but I'm saying North Texas would be in that
in that group. I just want the banner.
Me too. And you know how like big that would be too for the program? Not only do you move to a new conference that could possibly be better than the Conference USA's basketball conference this year. Mm-hmm. Like, think about that. Next year's AAC conference could be better than this Conference USA basketball conference. And then you get the NIT. You elevate the program from the outside looking in.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, the AAC next year, people don't want me to talk about it. They want me to talk about Conference USA this year, but
it doesn't matter.
I mean,
Conference USA doesn't matter. I almost put my tweet yesterday, AAC, everyone else, but I didn't want anyone to get mad at me.
FAU, North Texas, UAB, Charlotte. Let's remember that. And then obviously Memphis. You have Rice and UTSA, who just are there, whatever. But then you got Memphis, Tulane, Temple, who's in Philadelphia, USF. You go down the list of teams that should be pretty good. So, yeah, we'll see. Oh, Wichita State too.
Right? Wichita State, SMU was really good a few years ago.
SMU should get back to being good. Yeah,
it's going to be a deep basketball conference.
Yes, very, 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 very good. All right, that's it. That's all we got. I will be in Dallas tomorrow, so I'll be there in person to watch the game.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes. We'll be able to watch it. We hope y'all enjoyed it. This episode will end after the Reed. We're gonna have Reed Smith on here in a bit. So enjoy the interview. You can follow us on all the socials, Green Room UNT on Twitter. Thank you for everybody who's following us over there. But yeah, check us out on all that stuff. And here's our interview with Reed Smith. And now joining us is Reed Smith of Mean Green 24/7. Reed, how are you doing today?
Oh, man. Well, it's been quite the week of softball and basketball, but we're here.
Man, y'all should have seen Reed when he joined the StreamYard. He was chugging water, fixing his hair. I was very worried about him for a while.
Yeah. I had to get right before the podcast. Come on.
Hey, you can ask Colin. That's what I looked like in 2020. Honestly, during
That's
COVID,
true. Robotic Brune is what his nickname was. He was just a robot.
I was going crazy. Just yeah.
And now I just look disheveled no matter what. So
I mean, that's I don't know what's happening in your background, Colin. Is why there's the window just has all the sheets.
Oh, you want to know why? Because Maya, this is a great Colin story. Sorry, Reed.
All right, make it quick.
Really quick. Man, Maya yesterday, my mom tests things out for Amazon, so she had bones sent to her for dogs. Maya gets them. Everything's great. I'm sleeping good. Go to sleep early for once in my life. 4 a.m. rolls around. Maya growls at me. Take her outside. Come back in. Hour later, take her outside. Come back in. Hour later, take her outside. Come back in. Hour after that, take her back outside. Come back in. Diarrhea all over her butt.
Okay, all right.
And that happened 4 times.
Thank you.
So I had to clean my bedding.
All right. Thank you.
A man has to do it.
There.
She's good now, though. Look at her.
That's great. All right.
It was worth the punchline. There you go.
All right. Anyways, Reed, I promise we're going to talk from North Texas football here. Now that we're under the Republic of Texas umbrella, we always got to have football. We're gonna have a bunch of guests on over the coming weeks. It's gonna be great. Spring football has started for North Texas. Obviously, there's a whole period in which whether it's before the spring game or leading up to the spring game, you'll be able to see the team a little bit, get to talk to them and all that stuff. We wanted to have you on just to kind of talk big picture and stuff, just to get someone who covers the team and get your opinion on some of the things that we've been talking about throughout the past couple weeks and stuff as we look ahead. And so I think we can start. I think a good place to start is like, when you look at this team, is there a specific position that you're most interested to hear about or see over the spring and over the offseason as a whole?
I think it's such a basic answer, but quarterback is definitely where I feel like a lot of people will be looking here in spring, especially myself. I mean, obviously with the addition of Chandler Rogers, you want to see if that accuracy will transcend from, or rather transfer from ULM to North Texas, see how he fits the system, see if Gunnell has made any strides toward anything, because, going into spring camp, there is no set person that no set starter at quarterback. You would think that Chandler Rogers would have the upper hand, being the guy that Morris brought in, but you never know. So I think there's a little bit of intrigue to see, who's going to be running with ones. Is it going to be Rogers or is it going to be Gunnell?
Was it weird to you that they still have so many quarterbacks on this roster with Gunnell, Reuter, Head, Earl, and then obviously Rogers?
It was a little bit. I was surprised to see everyone stay pretty much, other than Ani, of course. But I think that all of those guys are still hungry. They all still want to have a chance. When you get a coaching turnaround, I feel like a lot of those guys will probably see that as another chance. But, I wouldn't be surprised to see a few leave after spring.
Yeah. And that's what I was telling Colin, is there's that second portal window after spring that we'll see.
But I will say it was really surprising that, because Brune and I talked about this, is that right after Morris got named coach, there wasn't really a lot of transfers at all. Was that kind of surprising for you, where most everyone's coming back outside of Varkey's Gums, obviously, and a couple other guys?
Yeah, Deshaun Gaddy and stuff like that.
Yeah, Jake Roberts.
I
mean, from an overall perspective, you're not having an exodus.
Exactly.
Of people.
I mean, I think I put in one of my stories right after Morris was hired is like the three things Eric Morris will have to prepare for. One of the things I said was a mass exodus. I thought that with bringing in Capone, who were on a 3-3-5, having a different style of offense, I thought that would open the floodgates. Especially, I was surprised most to not see any running backs enter the portal. I thought couple of running backs were going to enter the portal. Not looking like any are at the moment, but like I said, we'll see how the spring goes. Obviously, spring started and Varkey's transferred, so anything can happen.
When it comes to running back, because it's an interesting position group, and it might be like Dave Campbell's put out a list of their top running backs in the state, and it had Ayo on it, and I was like, okay, but I think Oscar Attaway's a better back, and I think Akaika Ragsdale's a better back, but it's a room where you have those three names right there, and then you have Isaiah Johnson and BK Jackson and Quillan Farrar. Like you said, I mean, how important was it to get Patrick Cobbs back with that whole transition?
I think it was integral. I mean, Morris's opening press conference, he said I thought it was kind of corny, but he said I trapped Cobbs in his office and made him not leave until he said he'd stay. But I think that he was being dramatic, but it's true. It's like he had to keep Cobbs at the university in order to kind of retain that influence in the running backs room. And when I look at just the system that Morris is going to be running, if we're looking at his WASU system and his system from UIW, I think if you ask me which running back in that room fits it the most, it's probably Akaika Ragsdale. He was their best receiving back last year. And, that's a big facet of the Morris offense.
Yeah. That could also open the door for Quillan Farrar and stuff like that. Interesting gadget players. Let's keep moving here, because you were on Sonoy's show and you talked about the Varkey's Gums transfer. We talked about it a little bit. If you had to summarize it, is it concerning to you, or what do you think the impact is for North Texas moving into this year?
I mean, obviously losing one of your top offensive targets is always concerning for a team. With when Jake Roberts transferred, I think that in my head, at least, the possibility that Varkey's would go as well was there, because when you see the guy that you shared starting tight end with transfer to Baylor P5, at the end of the day, these guys are trying to set themselves up for the best opportunity to play at the next level, and if you as Varkey's Gums saw a guy that had less production of you than you go to Baylor, where he's going to more than likely start for them after Ben Sims exited. I think that probably influenced that decision a little bit. Just, okay, now you probably, if you enter the portal, can go to a Power 5 school, to a Big 12 program. So, concerning, yes. Surprising, wasn't particularly surprising for me, at least.
I'm trying to think about Matt Capone. You kind of mentioned him, like 335. What do you know about him, or at least maybe this defensive staff, I guess, that Eric Morris is bringing in this year?
Well, so I haven't gotten the chance to talk to Capone yet, which I'm really interested in speaking to him. I haven't seen the defense yet in spring yet either. But I think I'll have more to say about that once we get there. I think a position change that I was really curious about, well, not curious about, well, interested in, was Mason Richards going back to defensive line, his natural position. I feel like those are the type of guys that in a 3-3-5 system you need, just the big athletic guys that can, rush more effectively than, the guy that you sacrifice and going from a 4-2-5 to a 3-3-5. I thought that was interesting, to say the least, that, when Capone was announced, I think myself, obviously Brett, and a couple other guys were going, okay, Mason's probably going to go back to defensive line because he's the one that would fit that system the best.
So, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Is there any defensive player that you are really interested to see over this offseason?
Phillip Hill is who I'm very interested in seeing. I mean, obviously they've seen the upside at UNLV in 21. He had 3 interceptions, I believe 44 tackles, I want to say. Safety has been it's just a position of concern for UNT the last few years. They've been undersized, slow. Phillip Hill's a bigger guy, on paper looks to be a guy that can match the system and, be an effective safety. But, until you see that on field, you don't know. But I was intrigued by that transfer, and, he hasn't played in a season. So, that's
good, Reed. That's a good one, because we weren't when we previewed DBs. I mean, we went through the names, but we weren't sure what to expect from guys like Phillip Hill and so on and so forth. So it's like the safety position for us was one where we talked about all the returners that this team has, but safety was like, even if they wanted to start, Gaddy at safety, he's gone in theory. Keelan Crosby, bunch of guys. I was like, Harold West is the one guy I know here that has been there for a few years, and so on and so forth. So Phillip Hill, that's a good name. That's a good name. I'm gonna have to look into that.
I'll keep an eye on him.
I have a question. So Brune and I, when we went over, he just mentioned we went over the whole defense. We didn't really have a guy that it was like he jumps off of the paper. Obviously, Ridge Tejada, he has some big plays, but last year it was kind of Katie Davis. But everything this year, coming into this year, is like everyone's going to be really solid. But who do you think is going to be that guy that's going to take that Katie Davis role or take the spotlight, if you will? I think
potentially Larry Nixon. We saw him take massive strides last season. Do I think he has the talent and star power of Katie Davis? I do not. But, obviously he would be the top candidate to move to Katie's position as that middle linebacker role. Because outside linebackers in the 3-3-5, it's more than likely probably going to be Leota in one of those positions, and Smart not Smart. Dave. I'm blanking right now.
It's all right. You gotta drink some more water. You've been a while since you started chugging that water. Yep, there you go. Just start going.
There we go. Taking a little sip here. I don't have the spring roster yet, like paper. But just to my point, I think Larry Nixon will be that guy that will more than likely jump out. Not as much as KD did, but it's going to be a difficult defensive season just with the eye test. And if you ask me, like, who on the team that I think would stand out the most, then Larry Nixon. More than likely, he'll be the longest tenured guy on the team.
This is his 5th year.
Yeah, he's a 5th year, junior or senior now?
I don't know. All I know is he was there when I was there. He was there when I was there. That's all I know. That's my new metric for when somebody's old. If they were there when I was there, You're too old. I don't know how many players that applies to because Kevin Wood's a senior now. Colin, remember when Kevin Wood was a incoming
Larry
freshman?
Nixon was there when I was there too. So
Judson. Yeah. So there you go. I guess we won't keep you too much longer.
Gotcha.
I had a question, and I couldn't remember how I was going to phrase it, but I think in short, what was your favorite moment of last year? Or not even favorite moment. What was your moment that you remember from last year? It could be good or bad. Of anything. For example,
it's a great question.
Oh hell! I mean, there's a lot of memories I would have. The Rice loss in 2019.
Yeah.
Where Mason Fine comes out crying and stuff. Latrell is also on the verge of tears.
Yep.
What else, Colin? 2020.
There's so many of them.
No, there's too many. But that was my first question. If you don't have one, then I can move on.
I got a positive and a negative one. So for the positive one, I'll go with the last year's Rice game. I thought that was a cool moment to be a part of. Obviously, it meant a lot to clinch a spot in the CUSA championship for the team. You know, I really enjoyed the press conference after the game because, you know, throughout the season, it was like, you know, it was a Morgan there for a lot of those games. So, you know, to get all the guys pretty enthusiastic, get some cool quotes out of that, I think that was solid. And then, you know, the worst memory probably was the October UTSA game, which in my opinion was worse than the championship because there was an ounce of hope in there.
Because they should have, they could have won the damn game.
So I remember I was sitting next to Sunua for that one, and the whole time, you know, he's pretty good at staying unbiased there in the press areas, but he was looking at me. He was, oh man, no, that I think that would probably be the most like outstanding memory I have, the one that stands out to me, because I hate that open air press box at the Alamo Dome. I do not like hearing the fans while reporting. It just adds a annoying aspect.
Is there any other press box you've been in that's open air?
No, but I've heard Western Kentucky is also very similar.
Yeah, it is. LSU is also open air.
I was gonna say, and I'm pretty sure you loved it, don't you, Brune?
LSU is still different though. When you hear the,
it's true.
No, I feel that's different.
It is I don't know. When you get up there and it's open air and you just see 100,000 people in front of you, you're like, where am I?
And that's like actually open air because it's not a dome. I just don't think the Alamo Dome.
Dome does make it a little weird. It's like you're like sitting there with them, and also because in the Alamo Dome, you're kind of like close to the.
You're like like if you look over the glass, you're looking at the
people.
Dude's head. So like
exactly, that's a good point. That's a good point. See, this is why we have you on, Reed. All right. Anything else, Colin? I think we kept him 15 minutes. Yeah, I told him 12 minutes over text, and we're at 15. Yeah. So
I got to be in Arlington here in an hour and a half.
All right. Well, you go ahead. Thank you for coming on, Reed. We'll have you on again soon, man. Enjoy the spring, enjoy the basketball season. Hope North Texas pulls out the NIT win, but we'll talk to you again soon, man.
All right, always appreciate it, guys.
For sure.